It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Why are 401ks so unique? And I want to give you this. We have things, it doesn't matter if you're a current employer or a current participant in an employer plan, or if you left a plan behind. We have kind of hit them all sides, but we'll make sure if there's something that really doesn't benefit you if you've left that plan behind, we'll make sure we try to point that out. But the first thing I like to share is that 401ks are covered by a special portion of law for retirement assets. It's called the Employee Retirement Income and Security Act, ERISA law. You hear that constantly spoken about. This means that these assets that are in 401ks, 403bs, they're protected from creditors. We all love our IRAs. The individual retirement accounts are great, but you should know that IRAs do not have the same protection as 401ks from creditors. There is some additional, added benefits. If you got sued, if you got into credit problems, it's better to have those assets into the 401k and a ERISA qualified plan.
That seems out there in the ethos. Is there a real world, tangible pop culture example that might resonate?
A lot of people, and we've used this when we do 401k presentations, enrollment meetings, and things like that. A lot of people were shocked, like when O.J. Simpson went through his trial the first time and he was living down in Florida. I don't know if he's where he's living now, but this is years ago. He was down in Florida and everybody was surprised because he had that huge civil lawsuit that was just millions and millions of dollars against him. People were like, how in the world is OJ still living in Florida and playing golf every week? Well, the reason is he had pension income from the NFL, and then he had retirement assets that were protected from creditors and lawsuits and everything else. So the 401k and that ERISA protection definitely came into play in that. So that's a good real world example.
So an immediate pause there. If you're someone who works in a highly litigious field, I'm thinking medical field, attorneys, builders, contractors, that sort of thing, 401ks are not a horrible solution for you in most circumstances because of that protection right there. It is a way to keep your assets and your family
From an
protected.
asset protection standpoint, it definitely checks the box. The other thing that we like to talk about on 401ks that makes them unique is that it's not uncommon when we look at, and especially big 401ks with like Fortune 500 companies, they usually have like a stable value fund in them. And that stable value fund might be paying 2.5% to 4% interest, whereas we all know in our money market accounts, even you're lucky if you're getting 1% to 1.4%. Those are the good ones. Yeah. And to find out that you can get something that'll pay you over 2.5%, you might want to look at your retirement plan and see if you have access to a stable value fund.
Not only access to a fund that you might not be able to buy outside of the 401k, but a lot of 401ks, because they get to kind of buy in bulk, you think like this Costco or Sam's Club thing, they might have access to a great mutual fund like an S&P 500 fund, but because the plan is so big, you get access to the lowest share class possible, where you might only be paying 0.01 or 0.02% for a fund that might cost you 10.1% if you bought it outside the 401k.
Those institutional shares versus buying retail off the street type shares. The other thing we like to explain, because you had a family member this actually came into play, Bo, is early access to retirement funds. If you know you're retiring after 55, but before 59.5, remember that's the magic age for retirement, like IRAs, is 59.5. You don't get the access to those funds without jumping through a bunch of hoops, unless you're 59.5, without avoiding that 10% penalty, the early withdrawal penalty. So the fortunate thing about 401ks is if you retire after 55, you actually can have access to those assets if they're still within the 401k accounts. So early access is definitely a benefit. And here's another one. We just dealt with this on a phone call yesterday with a client, because a lot of you guys, just like us, we love our jobs. I mean, I don't see me ever retiring. I love what we do so much. I love coming to you guys. I love doing financial planning. I'm not retiring. I'm just not going to do it. So we have clients that have the same feeling about their jobs, that they are over 70.5. So you think, wait a minute, I've heard that age, 70.5, something happens at 70.5. It's called required minimum distributions. That's right. Uncle Sam lets us save all this money in these retirement accounts, but at 70.5, they say, time up. This is based upon your age and what we've calculated for you. You go start taking distributions, required distributions, so you can start paying taxes on that money that we've allowed you to save. But there's a caveat.
If the government says I've got to take my money out, surely I can't be putting money back into the 401k,
so
right?
That is why, if you're an active participant of a 401k you're 70 and a half, and you're still working, you can not only defer taking that required minimum distribution from that account, you can also still contribute to that account. You can let the account balance continue to grow, let that army of dollar bills grow. So if you're one of these people that's going to continue working, take advantage of that. That is a great opportunity.
The one small disclaimer, though, is you can't be more than a 5% owner of the company.
That's true.
The rule doesn't apply if you own more than 5%. But if you just work for a company, you have a smaller ownership or maybe no ownership, this is a fantastic strategy for deferring RMDs.
I feel like you said that so that you'd hopefully talk me out of more of the shares of ownership by the time I'm 70.
Well, I'm just trying to help. I'm really thinking of you. I'm a giver. What can I say?
So the last one, then I want to move to number 2 on trying to figure out what to do with those abandoned assets. But Roth contributions. You've heard us, when we use the word Roth, you guys know what that means. We talk about traditional retirement savings accounts grow what's called tax deferred, meaning you get a tax deduction now. But when you pull that money out at 65, 70, you're going to pay ordinary income taxes on what you put in plus whatever growth occurred. With a Roth account, because you know Roth IRAs, whatever you put in, you don't get a current year tax deduction, but when you pull it out, it's completely tax-free. So you put $5,500 into a Roth IRA, pull it out and it's worth $30,000. That $24,500 of growth never got taxed. You just get to enjoy it, squeeze of the fruit without paying taxes. Sure. So it's an incredible opportunity. The problem with Roth IRAs, they phase out based upon your income. You start getting close to the $200,000 mark for a married couple, you can no longer contribute to a Roth IRA. But guess what? 401ks, 403bs offer Roth contributions without any income limits. So it's an incredible opportunity. And by the way, it's not capped at the $5,500 or the $1,000 catch up if you're over 50. It's capped at the same rate as normal 401ks, $18,500 for those under 50 and $24,500 for those over 50. That's an incredible way to turbocharge your retirement.
Absolutely.